How's it going, guys? UltraSife here, and in today's video I really wanted to go over the best mousepad for gaming in my opinion, and everything throughout this video will be my opinion and like my preference. But I've been using various mousepads over like the past 9 years of me gaming, and I'll just tell you what I have found to be best for me, and I plan on doing quite a few of these videos in the future over different aspects of gaming, so yeah, stay tuned for that. And there's like a church concert going on, and they have their speakers pointed directly at my house, so you may hear a little bit of background noise. I'll try to fix that up in post though. So to get started, I'll just like tell you like the story of the mouse pads that I've used in the past. So when I first started gaming, I didn't use a mouse pad at all. I just used like my glass desk, and luckily I had a mouse that I could use on glass at the time, but not all mice you can use on glass. Like some of the sensors just don't work. Most of the newer mice sensors though work on glass, but that wasn't true 9 years ago. I just got lucky when I had my mouse. So yeah, that's probably the worst mouse I have ever, like a surface for mice I've ever had, because like my mouse usually stuck if I got like any dust on like the bottom mouse feet or whatever. It would get like sort of stuck and shift my aim around a bunch on the glass, which was not good at all. But I was like 9 or 10 at the time, so it didn't really matter to me too much. I was having my fun playing some Roblox, getting some kills in base wars, and you know, I was a hardcore gamer back then, bro. The next mousepad I ever got was the Razer like control mousepad. I think the size of it was 10 inches by 12 inches. So, I mean, this is like a medium-sized mousepad. Medium-sized mousepads are great if you have limited space on your desk. And even if you have even more limited space on your desk, like if you have your PC on your desk, you may want to go for a small mousepad. Personally, I'm not a high-sensitivity gamer, so I can't use small mousepads at all. So, like, the smallest I can go is about a medium-sized mousepad, which is about 12 inches by 10 inches. I don't know that in, like, millimeters. I'm really sorry, guys. I haven't been really taught the metric system too much, so I'm very sorry about that. I wish I'd learned the metric system when I was in school, but I just, like, wasn't taught, and I'm too lazy because I'm freaking American, you know. But yeah, so this mousepad was a control mousepad. So a control mousepad basically means that it has a little bit more friction, so your mouse stops earlier when you're swinging it around, which allows some people to aim better. In my case, I mean, yeah, it's decent. I mean, it's your preference though. If you like swing your mouse around a lot, maybe it's gonna be good for you, but it wasn't good for me. And like compared to the mousepad I have now, like which is just a regular cloth surface that's like about moderately friction, it, like has a moderate level of friction, I like it a lot more. So that mousepad ceased to exist, or I mean, I used it at like, since my parents are split up, I used it at that gaming setup for a little bit, but I mean, I didn't like it as much as the next one I got, which was an extended mousepad. That was 36 inches by, I think, 12 inches. So, I mean, it was quite a bit bigger. And I still had to swing my keyboard off the side of it. Like, my keyboard still didn't fit on it. I had to put it off to the side. Like, I don't know, like, maybe I can put a picture to show you guys. I'm not sure if I have a picture. But yeah, it still wasn't enough space for me, and I don't think there ever will be a mousepad that has enough space for me. Even those desk pads that like take up entire desks, I don't know, some desk companies make mousepads that cover the top of their desk. I don't know, maybe that one would finally satisfy me, but I don't know. I've just always been there of the mentality that can't ever be a biggest mousepad. But the next mousepad I got, again, had that moderately friction surface, and it's the mousepad I'm currently on, which is a, it's not the glorious 3XL, or like the Corsair 3XL one that is 48 inches by 24 inches. I actually got an off-brand one. So there was a listing from Amazon. I'll put it in the description below, that I found, and it's like on the packaging that it came in the sleeve that said like a dude named the Gamer Plug, or I am the Gamer Plug, something along those lines. I don't have the sleeve anymore, I just know what it said on it. But if you want it, it's absolutely no branding on this mouse pad, and it's just as dope as the glorious 3XL one. And I mean, it has like the same surface, same anti-fray edges that have like the little thread wrapping around them. I mean, there is better thread wrapping on per se, like the Corsair MM500, but this one's just absolutely fine. It's sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. It sort of hits my like wrist when I'm like arm wrist type thing when I'm flicking my mouse around, since over time some of the threads have started to come up, but I can't like confirm that that wouldn't happen on like a Corsair or a Glorious mousepad with their anti-fray edges either. So I'm just gonna assume that it probably happens to all, maybe not all, maybe just report in the comments below. It just seems like threads eventually start coming up as you move your arm across, like back and forth them, trying to hit flicks after like what, I've had this mousepad for a year now. So yeah, but this is definitely my favorite mousepad that I've ever owned. I don't think there like is a better just mousepad out there that people could buy. In my preference, the moderately friction surface, just a regular cloth surface, just a straight black mousepad, so your mouse is always gonna track the best. I'm not sure, sensors are probably pretty good nowadays, so that doesn't really matter, but my preference, I just like the aesthetic of just straight black on a mousepad. I don't like RGB around the edges. That's just, you're paying way too much if you just want RGB around the edges. I bought this mousepad for freaking $30, and it's like probably one of the best investments that you can get for gaming. So like you have consistent friction surface, so you can have more consistent aim, and it just definitely helps out with like mouse tracking and everything, and it helps your sensor on your mouse. There's also stuff I wanted to mention about hard mouse pads. I've used hard mouse pads before because some of my friends have them, and I used to like go over to their houses and play on their setups and crap like that. But I've used them before. I don't really like hard mouse pads. Some people do, because you can like mice with really good mice feet. They have, your mouse will swing super fast. There's really low friction surfaces when you get a hard mouse pad. So there's quite a few of them out there. A lot of them have like RGB on them. Really doesn't matter, because RGB is just going to make sure there's another cord on your desk, which is annoying to like cable manage. So I prefer like non-RGB ones, but there's a bunch of them. Hard mouse pads usually come in like the heavier variety. The trouble is, a lot of hard mouse pads don't have great feet, so they kind of shift around if you like move your wrist, and like I press my mouse into my mouse pad, so it would start to move around a little bit if they don't have great feet. That's probably not true with all of them. That's just like the ones I've used. And so maybe like try it out, or definitely like look at the features that I'm like talking about in this video for like your mouse pad. If you really like low friction mouse pads or hard mouse pads, then go for it. But my personal preference is it moves way too fast, it's way too slippery, so like my arm just misses a lot of shots. A medium friction, moderate friction mouse pad, just the regular cloth surface, is usually the best for like most people, including me. That's what a lot of my friends use. And yeah, I think like the only other things I have to talk about in this video are mousepad sizing and what to get. The true answer is, if you're a low sensitivity gamer, get the largest mousepad that you can probably get your hands on, or what's going to fit on your desk. For me, I have a huge desk, so I can fit a 48-inch by 24-inch mousepad on my desk. And that's like what I use. I even have my keyboard hanging halfway off the mousepad, so I can give approximately 40 inches just to my mouse, because I'm an ARM gamer. I'm not on the lowest sensitivity possible, but like I turn my sensitivity down in game and I play on 1 Roblox sensitivity. So I mean, that's like to give you an idea of what I play on. I'm a pretty low sensitivity gamer, so I like to swing my arm around. Because I have really low dexterity with my wrist, I can't really use it that much. So that's like, if you have high dexterity, like a lot of little kids, I used to be a really high sensitivity gamer. Like I would play on 6 to 8 Roblox sensitivity in games, which is super duper high, and like the DPI on my old mouse was 2400 what I kept it on before I switched it to the 800 that I use now. So like that was super high. I can control it. Now as I've aged, I don't have the same dexterity as I used to, so I can't control it. If you have super high dexterity, go for high sensitivity. But I mean, high sensitivity is good for small mouse pads, low sensitivity is good for large mouse pads, so just get what you can get. Like, I'm going to talk about mouse pad sizing for a little bit, but yeah. So what I consider small is like anything 8x8 or below, somewhere around there, like 10x8 or below. Medium is about 12 inches by 10 inches. Large is about 16 inches by 18 inches. I'm probably not giving them by height and width correctly, but it doesn't really matter. It's a freaking rectangle. So yeah, and then there's the extended variety, which I prefer like really tall mouse pads, because if I want to look up and down, like in games like per se Fortnite, where there's a building and you need to get high ground, or there's going to be people above you, it's really nice to be able to look up and down freely without having to readjust your mouse mid-fight. And yeah, the larger your mouse pad is, the less you're going to have to be readjusting. And yeah, so like the more 360s you can do, stuff like along those lines. So like there's extended, and then there's really large extended, which I personally just prefer really large extended. And I'm definitely going to leave a link to my mouse pad below, and so you guys can purchase it. It's only $30 compared to like the $50 you'd be paying for like the 3XL mouse pads from companies like Glorious or Corsair. So yeah, it saves you 20 bucks, which is quite a bit of money, and it's just as good. So here, I'm also going to have to talk about mousepad thickness. This one that I have is the thickest mousepad I've ever owned, the 3XL one I just bought. It's like, I'd call it medium thickness. I've only ever used like thin mousepads before. I guess thin is like normal, but normal is pretty small thickness. And there's also thick mousepads, which if you have a desk with uneven surfaces, you're probably going to want a thick mouse pad so that your mouse doesn't bump into any of those surfaces through the mouse pad itself. So that's about it. Like the thickness doesn't matter unless you actually have an uneven desk. So this is about a medium thickness. Medium's pretty good. Thick, if you put lean anything off your thick mouse pad, like your keyboard, it's going to be like a little bit tippy. My keyboard's a little bit tippy, but it doesn't matter too much because I only have my hands on like the left side of the keyboard. But it would be a lot more drastic with a thicker mouse pad. They don't make a lot of the extended ones super thick, and that's something to keep in mind. So if you do need a thick mouse pad, the largest you're going to find one in is probably going to be 16 inches by 18 inches. And also, make sure to get like the anti-fray edges. That's just, I don't know, it feels better to keep your wrist on or your arm on, because like it rolls off instead of like the sharp drop of a lot of the other ones without the anti-fray edges. And that's just kind of like my opinions. I kind of rambled on for a lot of this video, but I just wanted to get it out there. And I'll try to put like pictures on the screen and stuff along those lines. Also, I may remake this video in the future if it does well, and try to make it more concise instead of just a rambly style video. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. Please like and subscribe. I'm out. Peace adios, my dudes.